Hi guys, thank you for joining me today on my channel. My name is Elliot Forbes and today I'm going to be talking through my evening skincare routine. Now my evening skincare routine is a little bit different to what it would be like in the morning. Obviously during the evening your skin cells regenerate, so if you're going to be cleaning your face only once during the day, then ideally you'd like to be doing it at the end of the day as opposed to the start of the day. And the reason for this is because the whole time that you're asleep, your skin cells are regenerating, they're going over, and it gives it that whole time during the night to try and repair itself, to let that moisture from any products you're using really sink into the face, really nourish, really hydrate anything or any problems that you have with your face. And that's where a lot of the hard work will be done. So my first step in the evening then will be to make sure and cleanse my face. And the cleanser that I tend to use is the Kiehl's Ultra Facial Oil-Free Cleanser. So I have really oily skin. My pores get really clogged up. By the end of the day, my face sits really shiny, as you can sort of see if you look at my forehead there. It's really quite glistening. My nose gets really quite shiny. It's always then, the pores are really full. It always feels as though it's just, I never get a matte effect with anything. I always get it in through the cheeks. So really, this cleanser that I use is actually really quite nice for sort of almost feeling as though it has like a real grip to it, so it gets all of the oil off and really feels as though it sits nice and clean after that. So that's what I'm going to start off with this evening. So what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to get my face wet first and then I can apply some of the cleaner to it. And in terms of what I'm using, that's the sort of amount that I'm going to be putting on through there, so not crazy amounts. I'm really working it the whole way into the face, really trying to get the face, really lather it up, trying to get the face as nice, as clean as possible, so really working it deep into the face, deep into the beard as well. Now that I've cleansed the face, what you really want to be mindful of is not just grabbing a towel and cleaning your face and drying it all down. As you're fully aware, kitchen cloths or towels in the bathroom, they really harbour quite a lot of germs. So the last thing that you really want to be doing is putting a clean or a dirty towel onto your face right before going to bed. Potentially you're going to be locking in any bacteria, getting the bacteria on there growing, so potentially having more spots on there or any sort of bad bacteria. It's not really what you want. So what you should do at the end of each cleanser is you want to use a muslin cloth, clean muslin cloth that you would use just the once, use it the once, and then that goes straight into the wash. So all I'm going to be doing is just removing any of the excess water, getting this nice and dry, and just having that so get all of the excess off. That then goes to wash, so you wouldn't use that again. So step number 2 now is what I'm going to be using is a toner. So the toner I actually use is from the same range as the cleanser. It's the Kiehl's Ultra Facial Oil-Free Toner. I think this is about £16. I think it's about a similar price as what the cleanser is. I think both of them are around £16. So I'm going to be using this then now just to be able to rebalance all the pH from the skin, just to make sure then we can really make sure it's back to the place where it should be. So I'm going to be pushing that onto a little pad just so that can then moisten it all down. I'm just going to be then working this the whole way across the face. Just wiping it all down, almost getting any last potential dirt off through here. Really working into the corners of the nose, into any areas that it might be. Working in behind the ear as well. So step number 3 for myself is actually to use these Bobbi Brown Remedies Skin Clarifier number 75 Pore and Oil Control. So like I said, my nose gets really quite oily, the pores are always really full, and this has helped to be able to try and eliminate that quite quite a bit because it's an oil, but it's apparently as an oil that's very similar to the oil that you produce on your face. So actually, because I've ripped all of that oil off, it then has a tendency to try and produce even more to get it back to that level. So if you add a little bit of this, that then can help it neutralize it, get it back to a level so that it's not producing any extra. And then what that will do is then it's also supposed to help regenerate the pores, so it's supposed to then almost clean them all out and then push it out into a cleaner state. So all I'm going to be using is just a little drop of this into the hand, and I'm just going to be working this, just dabbing it into the nose, and then just around the cheek area where I tend to get a little bit clogged up as well. So I'm just going to really work that in. You only want to be using such a tiny amount, because obviously with the oil, the small amount still goes really quite a long way. So I'm just pressing that into the skin, just pushing that all the way into the problem areas. I don't tend to get anything in my T-zone up here. That always seems to sit quite clean. There's not really any problem in through there. So I'm just working then in through the sides, and that'll be that done there. The next step that I would then take is from the Ordinary. Now, I was introduced to this by a client actually, and I've really quite enjoyed using it. The shops, they've got a shop in Seven Dials, and there's also one in Covent Garden as well. And it's really quite a cheap brand, and I've really quite enjoyed using it actually. Now this is the Niacinamide, and it's 10% plus zinc 1%. And what this is supposed to do, it's supposed to help with any blemishes on the skin, any sort of skin irregularities, anywhere where you sort of it's a little bit blotchy, maybe a little bit darker, that you're trying to then rebalance the skin tone. So you would then use this. I'm just going to use a couple of drops into the hand in through there, and what I'm then going to be using is working it then again in through the cheeks, and then on through the nose, and in through the chin area where I tend to get a little bit of irregularity with the colour. Only just using a little bit just in through that top. Don't need to use too much in through there, because my forehead seems to always sit fairly balanced. It never tends to get too blotchy. So just working that in just so that it can then, the skin sits nice and dry, working it the whole way in. Then the next step for me now would be to use some more of the Ordinary, a little bit of the Hyaluronic Acid. Now this has been great for hydrating the skin. I would only use this in the evening because it's got glycerin in. And glycerin, if I use glycerin on my face tends to just sit like super shiny all day long. So I have to be very mindful of any products that has glycerin in. I really can't use them during the day, because then it just adds to me looking super shiny. So by the end of the day it looks ridiculous. I mean, it looks even ridiculous at the start of the day, so you can imagine what it looks like by the end of the day when I've got my natural oils going with it as well. But it is great then for hydrating the skin through the night. Obviously, before going to bed, you want all of that moisture locked in. You want to be able to just look as youthful as possible, get the skin hydrated, and really look after it. So work that all the way in, working just into the neck as well. So actually that sits a little bit tacky. One of it's just so that it's worked in and it's not really too wet. Then the next step with the Ordinary products is actually this Caffeine Solution, and this is for, you put this just under the eye and through here, and it's supposed to apparently eradicate some of the dark spots that some people get in like a little bit of the veiny area where you can see that in through there. For me it's not. I do have darker areas in through there, as you can sort of see, but I've been using this now for a couple of months. It hasn't made a massive difference. I don't feel like it's made any difference to me, to be honest, but obviously as it's there, you might as well just use it. So I just put that underneath there, just work that in. You only want to be using a very small amount, you don't need to be using lots with that. And then the final step for tonight is then I'm using the Ordinary, the Natural Moisturiser, and this also has glycerin. This is also really cheap. I think this one is about £5 as well. So I'd only use this in the evening because it's got glycerin in again, but it's supposed to, well, it feels like it works with not getting a nice bit of surface hydration in there. Obviously all the others are working more into the skin, whereas the moisturiser sort of works on top of the skin. And this seems to work quite nicely, and in terms of an evening product where I haven't got to worry too much about how it looks, this seems to work quite nicely. So I actually used quite a bit of moisturiser in through there. You can see it sort of almost covering both hands, and then really working in through the back of the neck as well, trying to get this all moisturised, have the face all sitting really nice, and just working it all the way in. Now, as you can see, that's sort of it's worked into the face quite a bit. It's tacky feeling, so it's nothing too dry. Obviously, you want to make sure that it's sitting nicely like that. You don't want to be leaving any residue anywhere, but you want it worked in, so it's got a nice tacky feel to it. And then really you're just ready to go to bed, so that then you're now in a position where actually the skin can regenerate, work its way to repairing itself through the night. Obviously, when you're asleep, that is when the skin is repairing itself the most. So now I'm in that position to be able to do that. So there we go. I'm going to be putting another video about my morning routine as well, so have a little check about that. It is different to my evening routine, so go and check that out. It'll be up soon as well. Thank you very much for watching. If there's any questions that you have about any of the products that I've been using, then feel free to ask me. I'm going to put all the links for those below into the comment section. Any questions, feel free to message me, and I look forward to seeing you again. Much love, Elliot.